Today we're working on my 2001 Honda Civic. It's an EX or LX sedan, and the project we've got going on is a radiator replacement. A couple of weeks ago I had an issue with the car slightly overheating, a little bit more than usual, so I did a little bit of troubleshooting. I looked down here in the engine, and first thing I thought was, maybe my thermostat's acting up. It's been a while since I've checked on it or replaced it. You see, you got your upper radiator hose right here. Down below, if you can see it, got your lower radiator hose. Basically, start your engine, let it idle to normal running temperature. For this car, normal running temperature is around 180 degrees Fahrenheit. And once you do that, the thermostat should be open. You take your hand and you feel at the lower hose. If the lower hose is hot, that means the thermostat is open. And if the lower hose is cold or cool to the touch, then your thermostat's not opening. You have an issue with the thermostat. In my case, I went ahead and replaced the thermostat, changed the fluid, topped it off, and ran it, and didn't see any apparent leaks right offhand. So after a couple of days, I noticed that the reservoir, I had needed to keep adding fluid to it, and then I realized I had a leak somewhere. It wasn't out of my hoses, my upper and lower hose. It wasn't even out of my hoses down below. You can barely see them. We'll get a better look at them when I take everything apart. It wasn't even out of the hoses that used for cooling the automatic transmission. It was out of the radiator itself. Let's see if I can get a good look. You can see right there, at the top of the radiator, these little ridges right there. It looks like a little metal strip. That's basically where the plastic meets with the aluminum part of the radiator and it's fused together. When it's brand new, it's fused together and it doesn't leak. Well, this car has over 215,000 miles on it. This is the original radiator. It's leaking, and it's leaking all along the top seam here. And it's wet right now, but because the coolant is settled in the radiator and throughout the engine. Before, when it was circulating and the entire amount wasn't sitting in the radiator, it was dry along the seam. You could see the teal color of the coolant dried and flaking off of there, so you could see exactly where it was leaking at. But when the car is up to operating temp, it's been driven for a while, you can see it seeping out of the left portion here quite a bit, just dripping out and dripping onto all the components onto the ground there. And it's a slow leak, probably about a pint of coolant per, I'd say, 100 miles. So I was having to add every couple of days. So what we're going to do is we're going to get this old radiator out of here, replace it with a new one, and I'm going to show you step by step how to do that. We're going to start off by taking off this plastic cover here, and we got to get these grommets out. This one, this one, this one, and this one. Usually those are disposable, because every time I pull those things out, they just simply break due to weather, age, and whatnot. They just you're lucky if you can reuse them. So I'm going to get a couple of those grommets while I'm out at the store getting my supplies. Alright, I got the plastic grommets out. I was only able to save one. The rest of them broke just like I suspected. You see this white excuse me, see this white plastic grill here? It's actually attached to this plastic guard. Now that this is loosened, I've got two screws. I've got one right there, and one on the other side that need to be taken off to detach from this plastic grill. Okay, I actually had more screws than I thought. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, so a total of 6 screws to take out to get this guard off. It's also kind of a pain to pull it up and around your little latch, hood latch here. And you could take the 2 bolts off, take the hood latch off, and easily take this off, but you know, this is flexible. You can bend it around there. So all that's left to do is to take it off. Put it aside. Now we can easily see and get to replace our radiator. Let's see. You can see what's leaking right there. It's leaking all over that front seal. So let's get started. Alright, first and foremost, for safety's sake, we've jacked the car up. I've got these rams here that hold. Jack stands will work just fine. Just make sure they'll be able to hold the weight of your vehicle. The reason why we need to jack it up is it makes it easier to get to replace the radiator, and also the splash guard underneath needs to come off so we can get to the automatic transmission hoses that are connected to the radiator. And we're going to start off by hooking a couple of screws. Turns out we do need to take this latch after all. It's getting in the way of being able to take the radiator, slide it up and out of there when it comes time. So we got standard socket, and what I'm using is a 10mm socket, standard ratchet, 10mm socket, and we're going to be able to do quite a bit of work with just this 10mm socket. First of all, we're going to be able to get 3 bolts to get this. We're just going to lay it aside. And we got our main brackets for our radiator. 1, 2 here. Check your rubber grommets. Make sure they're not cracked or broken. Those will need to be replaced if they are. And also, you got your bolts on the other side here. You'll have to come in from the other side to get them. These are also 10mm. There's 1, 2, 3, 4. And those are your fan brackets, or fan bracket mounting bolts. You should be able to slide your fan up and out of there once we finish with that. Alrighty, here come the fun. Alright, this whole undercarriage splash guard is going to have to come off to get to the hoses and to be able to maneuver easily. You got these black little grommets, I'll show you in just a second, that are all over this thing. There are 2 on the side here. This cover right here is by the wheelbase, and it actually covers the crankshaft and the belts and such. So you got 2 grommets right there, 1 right there that hold it into place. And you got grommets all along the middle and the screw on either side. Once you take that off, this whole splash guard will come right off, and you'll have easy access underneath. These are the little grommets, pretty much used all over the car, so it wouldn't hurt to stock up on these. Get about a dozen of them, because you're going to break probably 90% of them that you try to take out.